up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service report on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planting season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Gana Trucking is hiring CDL Class A drivers year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gana Trucking offers health, vision, 4K with patch, an employee and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gana Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GanaTrucking.com.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers, ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to the attention of the Nebraska Lottery, and people hear a radio commercial in for one of our lotto games, Powerball, Mega Millions, or Lucky for Life. They tend to begin daydreaming about how they'll spend the prize money if they win, instead of paying attention to the road. So please, when I tell you that Nebraska Lottery lotto games offer big money and big fun, keep your mind on driving. Do not start thinking about all the things you could buy if you win. Things like bright sports cars, tropical vacations, hot tubs, SUVs, a new computer, motorboats.
Bob, snap out of it.
Oh, good heavens. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. Perhaps I should go home now.
You better let me drive.
Lotto games from the Nebraska Lottery. Top prize odds vary by game.
Working at
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys know the Happy Hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, maybe I'll go for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainer.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary. Brought to you by Empire Fence and Net. 937 The Ticket and theticketf.com.
Nick Stainert and Austin Orman join you once again here on the Happy Hour. Shout out to our sponsors, Empire Fence and Netting. Give them a visit today out in Waverly. Hello, Austin.
Hi, Nick.
How's it going?
Great. Be better if I had my own happy hour open, but that's okay.
I know. Tell me about it. You're filling in so much. We might as well make one with you. Rico is on vacation for one more day after today. So actually, technically, if you include the weekend, because we all put in a little time during the weekend for the time being. So I guess he'll have 3 more days off. I don't know if the weekend's included in his vacation. We have not heard from him. I would like to have
Is
some
he alive?
confirmation.
Do we need to do a well check?
I don't know. I do wonder. Maybe tomorrow we'll just have to randomly call him.
Okay.
Just
I think that's
off the cuff.
Yeah.
So, all right. Once again, it's the Happy Hour. Nick and Austin with you. Austin filling in for Rico for 1 more day. Or excuse me, 2 more days, technically, if you include tomorrow. As you guys know, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line are both open for you guys the entire show today, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951. Now, if you guys are listening to us, it's probably because you already found the stream. The Royals are currently playing. They have a day game against the Mets. Is that correct?
They do. Going for sweep number 2 in a row.
That's wild. They're on a 5-game winning streak. The Cubs, by the way, we always have to just do a Major League Baseball team check-in. The Royals, 5-game winning streak for Austin. The Cubs have scored 36 runs in their last 2 games, and their offense is on fire. So it's going well. They faced a position player last night. Ian Happ hit a home run on the second pitch that he faced from the position pitcher. And then Seiya Suzuki deposited one over the left center wall as well. So there's your MLB corner. And normally we would stay on MLB for a little bit longer, but we're going to start out here with this tweet from Brett McMurphy of the Action Network. It says, the Big Ten just trying to figure out financials at this point on Oregon and Washington. There is no more research or information needed on Oregon and Washington, Big Ten sources said. We have everything we need. So, Austin, now this is starting to feel less of if, but now more of when.
And when could be about 9:30
tonight.
Well, 9:30 Pacific time tonight.
So 11:30
to midnight tonight Central Time. Be on the lookout for Washington news. They have a meeting. They called a special Board of Regents meeting for 9 o'clock Pacific time tonight. So they're either really leaning into the Pac-12 after dark, ethos
Mantra,
one last time,
exactly.
or they know they can't make it private, which I assume they can. Other places can. I assume Washington can make it private, but if they can't, maybe they're just banking on everyone being asleep and not paying attention, which good luck with that.
Which is the exact reason why they are leaving the Pac-12. It's because when they play or they do anything, everybody is asleep. It's the perfect ride off into the sunset for Washington. And you would expect that after Washington officially makes it official, if you will, Oregon is not far behind. And then things get real interesting.
Real fast.
Because as the conversation has now somewhat changed from yesterday when we went basically 45 minutes on hypothetical scenarios, if anything, I would say more now that it is more likely that the Big Ten Conference and Tony Petitti go with Oregon, Washington, understandably so.
Mm-hmm.
And then they look at the ACC before Stanford and Cal, which is different than maybe what we were talking about and discussing yesterday when Stanford and Cal were expected or, rumored to be the next two teams. But now it's weird because Stanford and Cal is on this like pendulum swing right now where they're just waiting to find out whether or not they're going to be able to be invited to the richest conference in the country or if they're going to have to go somewhere else.
I don't know if the roller coaster analogy is perfect for what Cal and Stanford are doing, but I'm going to try to help me tease this out. Are they like at the bottom of the roller coaster where it's flat because that's where the revenue is? Or have they been going up the roller coaster and they're just waiting for the bottom to fall out?
Well, see, I would say up. And it's more of the roller coaster just stopped and their wheels are just trying to hold on.
And are you going to get over the bump
Bingo.
to speed down to the Big Ten, or are you stuck up top waiting for maintenance?
Does the maintenance man get there quick enough to get you over the top, or do your wheels start rolling back and you're down somewhere else? Right? Because, and this is a big deal. Like for them and the outlook of their Division I sports, it is a very big deal on what happens. They are hoping and praying that the Big Ten and Tony Petitti invites them. But if you're the Big Ten, as we mentioned multiple times yesterday, you have a lot of power in this situation. And for the most part, early on through Tony Petitti's tenure, seems like he understands that. And he also understands how to manage that, which may have been different from obviously Kevin Warren. And it may, it seems like Tony Petitti is handling this a lot more professional and methodical than a lot of commissioners would.
That's fair. I think having a test this massive, this important, this vital to the Big Ten and college athletics in general is one heck of a baptism by fire for Tony Petitti. He had to know when he accepted the job that this was the horizon, that this was at least possible. So it wouldn't shock me if in his interviews for the job, Tony Petitti had to lay out a general philosophy about conference realignment, what he would do as commissioner of the Big Ten. So I don't think this has taken him completely, by surprise, but at the same time, there's no easing into it. He has to jump right in. The Big Ten seems like it's in a good spot right now, but if the Big Ten still wants to view itself as, a caretaker of college athletics, not just a financial behemoth, Tony Petitti essentially holds the scales, right? He can put his finger on the scales to determine how the next 10, 15, 20, 50 years of college athletics go.
You talk about a test this massive this early on. He has been the Big Ten commissioner for 108 days. He started on May 15th, 2023. He has been on the job for 108 days. And in that time, he has had to deal with a Northwestern scandal. He has had to deal with, obviously, somewhat of ramifications with a new TV deal, making sure all that's ironed out, trying to figure out a way to continue to welcome USC and UCLA and advance the conference with Big Ten Media Days.
Jim Harbaugh suspended for 3 games.
I knew there was something else I was missing in there, right? There's a lot of things that he's
the
had
gambling.
To do. Yes, the Iowa situation. There's a lot of things that he's had to do. Maybe the most important thing he has been the most methodical about, where it's easy. It would have been easier, and it probably would have been a little riskier if the Big Ten would have come out and said, you know what? Hey, we're going to be the big bad villain here. We're going to take everybody we want. Here's this money that we're going to offer you, and let's just hope it works out. And like basically somewhat like the Big 12 has done. However, you see that the Big 12's approach, now the Big 12 doesn't have as much leeway as the Big 10 does on the national landscape, but you've seen it that the Big 12, despite saying all of that, still hasn't added any more teams in the meantime. That approach has not necessarily benefited, or if the Big 12 thought we're going to make our case known and the teams are going to start flocking to us because they know they have a home. That's not the case.
That's the advantage the Big Ten has in moving the way it did, right? The Big 12 hasn't announced that it's adding anyone past the 4 that it's folding in for this season because it had to get those 4 taken care of in first, right? The Big Ten has had time since 2014 to sit back and gauge teams, right? This isn't the first time Oregon and Washington's names have popped up, which is why the tweet that you read to start the segment from McMurphy makes a lot of sense, right? The Big Ten has had the opportunity to vet these other institutions.
They've already done it.
The Big 12 hasn't had that opportunity. So even if they're considering inviting Utah and the Arizona schools, they haven't had that much time to sit down with them at all.
Well, and I suppose maybe you give a little bit of credit to the past regime in the Big Ten Conference, even though that might be difficult to do. You give credit because this is something that they've been working on and not rushing, basically, in the last 12 months. They vetted Oregon, cleared and vetted Oregon in Chicago last summer. They cleared and vetted, or they vetted and cleared, it would be that way around,
right,
Washington in New York City last summer. This has been in the works for 12 plus months, but they haven't rushed it. They haven't said, we need a decision in the next 90 days.
They've been proactive. They've had a sense of urgency. They haven't been reactive, and they haven't been hasty.
Exactly. And so we sit here now on August 3rd, and it feels like, okay, an avalanche is about to fall in college football. But in all honesty, the Big Ten's sitting there going, we're just fine. We're okay because we did what we needed to do for Oregon and Washington. Now, although it's no small feat, we just have to figure out media rights slices. How much of a media rights deal do you get at the start, right? USC and UCLA, they get full pieces of the pie. Maybe that's not the case in this situation.
Which sounds like it won't be.
And that's okay, because guess what? USC and UCLA did what no other Pac-12 school wanted to do at the time and be the first ones to say, we're out of here.
They're getting rewarded for that leap of faith.
Bingo. And now you see Oregon and Washington that were late to the party. And remember, these conversations were last year of, man, if Oregon and Washington get there before the new Big Ten media rights deal is announced, they're going to be rewarded. Well, they didn't. They didn't. And maybe that's part of the Big Ten's choosing as well, as they wanted to see what the college football landscape looked like, throughout the next 9-10 months. But here they are. And if, as Austin said, Washington has a board meeting scheduled for 9 p.m. tonight, Mountain Time, so 11 p.m. Nebraska time. And you would expect that it goes into executive session rather quickly, where the live stream and the live video is cut off and nobody can hear what they're saying in there. And you would expect that for the betterment of the Washington program athletic department, they are going to join the Big Ten. And now, as I mentioned, it might feel like this avalanche of, oh gosh, you have these bigger brands of Washington and Oregon joining, and you have these little bit of a smaller brands, but good for the Big 12 in Arizona and Arizona State leaving the Pac-12. It's going to feel like an avalanche in college football, but the Big Ten is going to be sitting back going, well, we did our due diligence. Let's just figure out how much money you're going to be getting from us, because you're not getting $70 million a year.
No, especially not at the start, because again, these TV networks, it seems like the money they have is unlimited, but it's not.
Yeah.
They're still only willing to offer so much. So the more mouths you have to feed, the less everyone else gets.
Well, and let's be honest, if you're Fox or you're a combination of CBS, Fox, and NBC, you're sitting there going, well, we already agreed to this deal. And yeah, while we agree that, Washington adds value, there's not a parallel between the value of Washington and USC.
No.
They're not worth $70 million to us.
No,
they're not. And so there's a little bit of a blend between Washington's got to understand that and make it easier for the Big Ten Conference if they want to create a working and valuable partnership. Because now, for the foreseeable future, the Washington and Oregon's athletic departments are just pleading and thankful right now that Big Ten's going to take them.
That was going to be my next question for you, because Oregon and Washington being part of, I guess, really the third wave now, because Colorado's its own mini wave leaving the Pac-12, but essentially Oregon and Washington are the best of the rest.
Mm-hmm.
I think what would have been better for Oregon and Washington would have been to be the flagship programs of the Pac-12. To be those two lead dogs to take over and dominate the conference. But we see the Pac-12 is disintegrating before us. That's untenable for Oregon and Washington. So at some point, I think they have to swallow their pride and to some degree take what they can get, right? I think this is where Phil Knight is never great at being the underdog, given how that Nike money works. But I think coming into a Big Ten conference, if, things proceed like it seems like they're going to, I think that underdog mentality for those two could come in big, right? They'll be getting more money from the Big Ten, however, whatever percentage of the share they get than they were from the Pac-12. So if they can do more with less and work their way up to a full revenue share, I really think that mindset could help them.
Well, and that's the thing is maybe you take a step back in terms of revenue these first 3, 4, 5 years. And then guess what? If you do your job and you build yourself up like you're talking about, Austin, in 6 years when the Big Ten's negotiating a new contract, let's hope that if you're Oregon and Washington, specifically Oregon in this case, because they're in a better spot, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The Big Ten and Tony Petitti is able to go, and this is why maybe you don't want Stanford and Cal right away, is the Big Ten's able to say, hey, guess what? We've had 4 or 5 teams that have been in the playoffs consistently, because you're going to have a 12 team, at least 12 team playoff, potentially probably 16.
Let's say it's 4 consistently. Ohio State and Michigan are in, and then it's between Penn State, Wisconsin, maybe Oregon, Washington's been close. It's between those 3 fighting for those last 2 spots.
And you don't know, obviously, like Nebraska, you hope still has some bit of brand recognition. The fan support's going to be there, and the people are going to want to watch it. Penn State, if James Franklin's still the head coach, they're going to be okay. They're going to have that eastern part of the country kind of on, not lockdown, but they're going to have them on watch. And then you have USC in the LA market. You have UCLA, obviously, in the LA market. You have plenty of opportunities here that unfortunately you're sitting there going, we need a lot more than $70 million a year. Abelardo's? What do we got today? Stricky?
It's a black bag.
Can't
see inside. Oh, we got 2 of them.
There's
2 of them.
Did he
Stricky, what you got?
Shareables?
Mike 5.
Mike 5.
Stricky.
Hop
Mike.
on the mic.
Mike.
Hop on the mic. Oh,
it's Mary Ellen's.
It's Mary.
Oh, that's Mary Ellen's food for the soul.
You know I had to do it, my boy.
Stricky.
Oh, Stricky.
See, I take care of my partner. I don't know about yours.
My man.
But Stricky takes care of his
my
partner.
man.
Shareables? Did you bring shareables?
I love you guys. I'll be in there on the crossover real soon.
Stricky, I'll be out there in those black bags real soon. That's what I'll do. All right. So anyway, so shout out to Mary Ellen's 27th at Pine Lake, proud sponsor of On the Block as well. But I just think you sit there and say it's kind of, we have what am I trying to say? You control your own destiny, if you will, if you're Oregon and Washington in this situation, because depending on your success means more money. You just have to wait. You just be patient. You're going to get more than that embarrassing 20-some million amount that the Apple TV deal with Pac-12 was going to give. And frankly, you're in a much more stable environment. So just wait 5-6 years and continue to rack in that advertising money with the brand and with the Nike deal, and then just sit tight for 7 years and you're going to be just fine. Everybody, 20-team conference is going to be set for the long haul, because TV networks also, there's going to be a lot more money involved. Much more opportunities for TV networks to broadcast. Hopefully the entire college football landscape kind of steadies and stabilizes in the next 7 years once this conference realignment's kind of done. And you go, all right, we know how this is going to work now. Here's what we can give you. And it's going to be, I mean, I don't think $15 billion is out of the realm for an entire deal. Which
mind-boggling to think about.
And we're talking like close to $100 million a year
per school.
I don't
per year.
I don't think that's out of the question.
It's got to be on the table for now. You said two things really quick that caught my attention. Number one, the most recent thing was 20 teams.
Yeah,
18 is an odd number. It's an even number, but it's a strange number.
Yeah,
I should say. More teams are coming, right? You're not stopping at 18. There are plans in place. The other thing about Oregon and Washington controlling their own destiny is that measuring stick changes, right? Because they'll be able to, for the first few years of Big Ten money, look at their old cohorts in the Pac-12 and say, look how much money we're making, but they're not in the Pac-12 anymore, right?
Bingo.
Don't look backwards. At some point, you need to focus on your time in the Big Ten, focus on improving and maximizing that money, because the old Pac-12 isn't your measuring stick after a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
You can be happy with the paycheck for the first few as you're getting integrated and, oh, it's all new, it's exciting, let's see what this looks like. But after a couple of years, who cares? That's not the measuring stick. You got to make the most of less money compared to everyone else and do everything you can to get to that equal share, because your competition is Big Ten and SEC.
Well, and another thing, last thing before we go to break here, it's a lot easier to make people happy if you're getting paid, $85-90 million a year just for being in the Big Ten conference. But if you're not winning a national championship, right? If you're in the Pac-12 and you're not able to keep number one, build a strong enough resume to compete in a playoff, or number two, you just don't get the respect and recognition that the other conferences do, then it's a lot harder to convince people, hey, yeah, this is the right place for us when you're only making $28 million a year. Right. And so it's just a wild time that we live in. We got a question on the text line that came in a little bit ago, so I apologize for making them wait. If the Big Ten goes to 20 teams for a few seasons, do they go to 2 divisions? In fact, we think they have. Yes, we think they have different plans. He says, do they do the OG Big Ten and then everyone else? And before that, are Clemson and FSU legit targets? Let's talk about the other conference's point of view on this, because what conference are we not hearing a lot about right now?
The one it just means more to.
The SEC. You don't really hear much about them. Let's talk about their point of view, where they're standing and why they're choosing to be on the hill that they are on. We'll go ahead and talk about that when we come back. You're listening to the Happy Hour. Stick around. More conference realignment discussion and a little bit of Husker football stuff from fall camp coming up after this on the Happy Hour on 93.7 The Ticket. Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like getting new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best we can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure a maintenance plan. We're on the thick of spring cleanups for all of our existing customers and have limited spots left. We trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give us a call today at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of our designers and get ready for Tailored Life's grand opening in Bennett.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? Worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times come. What you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish, and don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Hey there.
Hi, honey.
Uh-oh.
Remember we told Jamie and Mike about Liberty First Credit Union, how great their checking account and car loans are, the amazing service we get, and how we love being members?
Yeah.
Well, they took our advice. Jamie said it easier was to move all their accounts and become members. Now they say they're banking with purpose. At Liberty First Credit Union.
Learn more about being a member at Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Member NCUA.
There's a lot of realtors in Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by all the names. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realtor Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate is your go-to option when selling residential and commercial property. Ben's team offers unbeatable customer service and promises to make the buying and selling process as stress-free as possible. Call Ben today at 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate. No pressure, just professionalism.
Problem gambling affects more than the gambler. It affects spouses, children, extended family members. If you are a loved one who's struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 476-2300.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting.
Easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her loud.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful. I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman. Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone again, and with me on the line, Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know how proud you and everyone are to earn the prestigious Honda President's Award year after year, 17 times. Tell our listeners what it means to you and your customers.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, all of us are extremely proud to have earned this award, and I want all of our customers to know it's not just earned by one person's effort. It's the entire dealership, sales, parts, and our amazing service department.
17 times. Wow. How does that compare to other Honda dealers?
This award is only given to the most elite dealerships that demonstrate excellence. We really do strive to go above and beyond for the ultimate customer experience before and after sale, Charlie.
That's why for 2022, Honda of Lincoln is once again Nebraska's #1 volume Honda dealer. Honda of Lincoln Way Business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal routes to usually say to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planting season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Singer.
Herbie the Fourth ate his first solid food today, prompting a response of nothing but steaks all week for the Nebraska offensive line.
Then Enrique Alvarez Clary.
No more peaches and carrots for Herbie the Seventh. Baby food be damned.
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
So I was telling Austin during the break that, these last 2 days, not necessarily expected or wanted to do conference realignment talk for the entire show. But, and like part of me, obviously I want to talk Husker football. And we do in our times and stuff. But unfortunately, this is such a dramatic and seismic shift in college athletics that once this conference realignment discussion kind of settles down and the dust blows over and everybody's in their new home and everything like that, getting paid way more, I don't know if it ever happens like this again. And if it does, not for a very long time.
Something will happen again, but it'll take a while. I think the last change that was potentially this drastic goes back to when conferences got TV deals.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That was a big advantage for Nebraska, is that they were on TV a lot because they were really good.
Yeah.
Right. That was huge. You had national exposure, which brought people all across the country because, like, oh, mom and dad can still watch me because I'll be on TV, over the air. Everyone gets it. Well, once conferences started getting their TV deals and every game was televised, that's an advantage that went away for Nebraska and completely leveled the playing field. It brought up a lot of other powers in college football. Yeah. So the advent of television is a much bigger change than the advent of streaming. But this isn't just a Big 10, Pac-12, ACC, SEC, Big 12 level change. Like Nebraska to the Big 10, Maryland and Rutgers to the Big 10. Those weren't, college athletics altering moves. Those were conference altering moves. What's happening now is legitimately seismic in college athletics.
It is. And it's not, we obviously are talking about this on the front of football, but we haven't even dug into what this, what does adding Oregon and Washington do for other sports, right? In the Big 10 and sports like against Nebraska, I am really excited if Oregon and Washington decide to join, which it is going to happen one way or another, whether it's tonight, whether it's next week, whether it's next month, it's going to happen. Frankly, because that's their only option, kind of. They're past the option or the opportunity to be like, yeah, you know what, Pac-12, we're going to fight this thing with you. They've been way too vocal and they've been way too far out front. Just as the Big 10 vetted them, they also vetted the Big 10, right? And they found that it was going to be a good fit for them. So it's one of those things where it's like, I'm really excited for Washington to come to Nebraska and play a football game or play a basketball game. I'm really excited for Oregon baseball to come to Haymarket Park. Like these little things, Washington is a really, really talented softball team. Like they're going to come now to Lincoln consistently. This is really, really good for the Big 10 and for Nebraska. And a lot of fans should be excited because you're going to be able to have a look at a lot of programs that you never got to watch in person.
I thought I may as well go back and check Pete Thamel because he's been on a lot of this. So his Twitter account from a couple hours ago, the first one says Big 10 presidents met early Thursday, authorized Tony Petitti to explore expansion, bring back more info on Oregon and Washington as potential Big 10 members. No offers have been made. Okay, standard. That's your first tweet. Your second tweet. And a deal is uncertain. There's a political thicket with the potential additions because the moves don't offer the current Big 10 schools any additional money. USC doesn't have a vote, but they've been vocal in the past about not wanting other West Coast Big 10 teams. Oregon and Washington would also have to come to terms with not getting a full share, which isn't a slam dunk for them. There's potential, but significant roadblocks remain. My initial reaction to those issues is, come on, USC, you're getting triple the money.
You also don't have a say.
Right.
Like the Big 10 is...
You knew this was a possibility. You had to know.
The Big 10 is going to do exactly what they did to Nebraska the last 10 years to USC. Say, listen, you're a part of us, but you're not really a part of us.
No.
And we really, like, it's great that you think this. We value your thought, but guess what? Too bad. Right. And so here's this for you, Austin. This comes from Brett McMurphy 5 minutes ago.
Oh, boy.
As we're getting out more and more information here. And this is why I think, personally, that an answer and some events are probably going to happen in the next 24 hours. Brett McMurphy of the Action Network reports Apple's primary media rights deal offer with the Pac-12 expires at the end of the week. Proposal is in the low $20 million figure per school annually, but can fluctuate and increase based on membership size and subscription incentives, sources said. But once again, the important part, the latter we already knew. We didn't know when it expired, when the offer was off the table. It seems like Apple has given them 1 week to decide. And as with the response from not only Oregon and Washington, but the response from Arizona State, and the fact that basically it sounds like when George Kliavkoff was on a Zoom call with all the presidents this week, they all basically hung up right as soon as they heard that figure. This is going to happen by tomorrow.
Apple doesn't need the Pac-12 as bad as the Pac-12 needs anything it can get right now.
And you know darn well that from a business standpoint, Apple used that to say, hey, we'll offer you a little $10 million cheaper or less because you need us more than we need you.
Right. They have all the leverage.
Bang.
All of it.
Yeah. It's crazy. So once again, through all of this, you've heard nothing regarding the fact that there's a chance that you haven't even heard of like Stanford's and Cal's and Utah's and Washington State's and Oregon State's say, yeah, you know what? We're on board for this media rights deal. None of those schools that are even in any conference realignment discussion right now have been out front saying, yeah, you know what? We're back in the Pac-12 unless it actually disintegrates. They're not, because they don't want that.
No.
They don't want to have only 20-some million dollars worth of TV revenue a year. And so that's exactly why I think that this happens really fast. And it's going to feel like this avalanche on Friday afternoon, because if that deal expires tomorrow or at the end of the day tomorrow, what else is there to wait on? That was more than likely the best opportunity and best offer that you're going to get, and it's still an embarrassing offer.
It's embarrassing is just the tip of the iceberg. So then my question to you is, do we get Oregon and Washington in 2024?
Absolutely.
Do we tear it all up, or are they forced to wait till 2025?
I think you get them in 2024. And part of it is now USC and UCLA might not like that.
But they'll hate it.
They'll hate it. But once again, you're part of us now. Thanks for playing. Thanks for joining us. You could have either joined us or you could stay in the Pac-12, or what used to be the Pac-12.
Right.
I think you go also in 2024 because now you're looking at an arms race, and this is where we can get into the SEC a little bit, because you're looking at an arms race between the Big Ten and the SEC, and then Big 12 is going to be the third power conference that's like still feeling like a little brother at times. But at that point, it is in 2024, the conversation is going to be what's been better for college football: Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA in the Big Ten, or Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC. It's going to be a competition between the Big Ten trying to just get better in 2024 than the SEC.
Oh, yeah.
And so, because you're always going to add those lower level teams, and the Big Ten will probably scoop a couple of them up. But if the Big Ten were not to get a team, one of the top teams from the ACC, and the SEC was, then it's going to be, wow, the SEC added way better teams than the Big Ten. But if you go 4-4 or 4-2, 4 teams in the Big Ten, 4 new teams in the Big Ten, and only 2 new teams in the SEC, the Big Ten, from an outside looking in, from the casual fan, goes, yeah, the Big Ten won this one.
What do you make of the SEC not doing anything out in public?
Have they done any? Have we even had reports of them doing anything in private?
We didn't have any inclination of the Texas and Oklahoma bombshells. The SEC isn't sitting back and doing nothing, which is where I still think that Clemson and Florida State, in their name being leaked, they're in discussions, right? I still think it's with the SEC, not the Big Ten.
Interesting.
I really do. The SEC isn't sitting back and doing nothing at this point. Just because you haven't heard anything, again, think back to last summer, just how quiet it was with Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC. We didn't hear anything, and then all of a sudden it's dropped. The SEC is doing something. There's something going on behind the scenes, but I think Sankey is smart enough. I think SEC chancellors and presidents have been through it enough to know the best way to do business is in private.
I wonder, I just wonder if, what would you call it? Florida State would want the SEC. I think there are also teams out there and programs that say, you know what? We don't want the SEC. We'd rather be in the Big Ten than the SEC. And I think maybe Clemson's not. Clemson seems like the tougher one for the Big Ten to get. And plus then, I mean, think about the opportunities for Clemson to have, number one, their product still on ESPN, the ESPN family of networks. And then it'd also be the Clemson versus Alabama, the Clemson versus Georgia games routinely. I think Florida State, however, I don't know how powerful the Florida State athletic department is on a national level.
Right.
And the SEC might look at Florida State as, yeah, we'll take you, but they don't look at them as a Clemson or an Oklahoma.
They're Mississippi State.
Bingo. And when you go into the SEC, that is what Florida State would be. They're not going to be able to. So I think from Florida State's point of view, you sit there and go, all right, in the Big Ten, if we get lucky a couple of years, we're going to be viewed as a Penn State and not a Minnesota.
Sure.
Rather than in the SEC, you're going to get viewed as a Mississippi State instead of a Georgia. Because in the ACC right now, they're a preseason top 10 team, I think. Florida State is not top, if not top 5. So if you're sitting there going, well, right now in the ACC, we're one of the top dogs. We're viewed as a top dog. Let's go somewhere where we're going to be viewed as close to a top dog as we can. And that's the Big Ten over the SEC.
Florida State is anywhere between like 10th and 15th.
Okay, so preseason top 15 then. So I just wonder sometimes. Everybody says, oh, who could ever say no to the Big Ten? To the SEC. I think there's ways that teams do want to say no to the SEC, because at that point, like, it's going to be an arms race depending on whose deal expires first. The Big Ten is going to hope that SEC's deal expires first.
Yes, because
then they'll have to set that benchmark, and the Big Ten's going to get a little bit more money the next 2 years or 2 years after that, and then it's going to be, all right, well, that was the benchmark 6 years ago. Let's bump it up.
Okay, first, I agree with what you're saying. I do think we have to be a little careful too, though, because you can look at it kind of like NFL quarterback deals, right? The most recent quarterback to get paid is making the most money.
Yep.
But the benefit of being first is you have that security. You have that guarantee.
Right.
And if your deal does come up sooner, that's why the Big Ten signed that 7-year deal, right? To give them a chance to renegotiate soon again down the line. It's why the ACC is in trouble, because it can't renegotiate. Being able to have that freedom to negotiate earlier gives you a chance to make moves first, to be on stable ground first. And as important as money is, stability is up there too. So I can see an argument for both sides being in the more advantageous position.
So I'm trying to remember. So like the SEC media rights deal, it will go through 2024. Or excuse me, not 2024, 2034. It looks like. While the ACC is through Disney with an ESPN through 2036. In February, the SEC announced annual revenue distribution of about $55 million per school. This year, Iowa received $57 million from the Big Ten. Now, what's interesting, I will say right before we go to break here, is that what conference is more willing to pay the exit fee? There's a $250 million price tag on any ACC school leaving. And it's hard to believe that if a conference wants them to join that badly, that they won't help out a little bit.
A little bit, right? Whether that's... See, there are a lot of different ways they could make that work, right?
Exactly.
Because no one's going to pay $250 million all the way up front.
Nope.
So does that look like... I guess it's all semantics. The money's going to come from somewhere, right? Do the schools just not get a share of their revenue because they're going to pay it all back? Do they have an installment plan? But honestly, by the time you pay back $250 million, we're not even going to have this current setup.
Yeah.
It's going to take you 45, 50 years to pay back $250 million if you have to still compete with facilities and paying coaches and everything like that. So the money's got to come from somewhere. They'd find a way to make it work, but it's a long-term thing.
Are you jealous of Brett McMurphy right now?
What do you mean?
Getting all this information regarding conferences.
I think it would be cool to be in that position, but I also don't know if I have the personality or the ability to handle getting all that news out in the appropriate way. So I like being here reacting to it.
Perfect. I would agree with you as well. I think it's probably a pretty stressful couple of days right now for Brett McMurphy and Pete Thamel. All right, let's take a break. We bring in Strick for the crossover as we round out Thursday's show. Coming up next on the Happy Hour.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to the attention of the Nebraska Lottery that when people hear a radio commercial in their car for one of our lotto games, Powerball, Mega Millions, or Lucky for Life, they tend to begin daydreaming about how they'll spend the prize money if they win, instead of paying attention to the road. So please, when I tell you that Nebraska Lottery Lotto games offer big money and big fun, keep your mind on driving. Do not start thinking about all the things you could buy if you win. Things like bright red sports cars, tropical vacations, 100-inch TVs, hot tubs, SUVs, a new computer, motorboats.
Bob, snap out of it.
Oh, good heavens. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. Perhaps I should go home now.
You better let me drive.
Lotto games from the Nebraska Lottery. Top prize odds vary by game.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certification. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with word Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you where you need to. Car problems shouldn't be put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Steve's Garage Doors and Hiring. They're looking for a garage door installation and service technician with a clean driving record. Experience is not required as they will train for the positions. However, mechanical aptitude is required. If you want to come be a part of a small business where you're family, not just an employee, call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today to apply at 402-480-2840. That's 402-480-2840. Steve's Garage Doors and Services.
This Easter, focus on your family instead of dishes with the Venue Easter to-go meals. Prepared fresh in-house by our chefs, these meals are ready to heat and eat with packages for 3 people or 6 to 8 with a juicy beef tenderloin, tasty herb roasted chicken, or a 6-pepper crusted prime rib. All packages come with sides to complete your feast. Venue.com. That's venue.com/Easter.
Spring Sports are here, and it's time to upgrade your equipment. Big Box Store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
Look at him and tell me this, God.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary. Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here one final time on the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick, Austin, and now Strick are joining you. What's up, Stricky?
Yay, yay. Yeah.
How's the day?
The day is off to a wonderful start. Guess what? Got to meet with my partner, other partner. You know, this is my Robin, and then I got to, meet with my other partner, which is my Batman partner. You know,
Gotcha. Yeah.
Cluster Johnson. We met and had a little lunch over at Da Vinci's, and met with a great friend, Max, and sat down and had some conversation about some things that we could possibly do in the future. Little business.
Good.
Yeah,
Good
fun.
stuff. All right. Well, we're obviously, unfortunately, Strick talked about college conference realignment today.
Of course.
Right? Because a couple new things have come out.
I heard.
And I know you guys are probably going to talk about it.
Probably not as deep as we did. Yeah, we went in.
You went in yesterday? We went deep yesterday. And you said
hit the mark, did I?
Here's the thing.
Talk to me.
We said we were talking, we went in deep yesterday, and then Strick comes in, he's like, "No, we're not going to talk as deep as you guys did today. Because you guys already dug into it you guys already dug into it deep." And then look at you guys.
But
you guys
didn't
went
mean
deeper.
to.
I know.
really
you go
did it.
down a rabbit
And
hole.
you hit a rabbit hole.
Oh my goodness.
The rabbit hole, Nick, we went down so far to the point where we started looking at if it happens.
Yeah.
And did I not, Austin, say those teams?
You mentioned my name multiple times.
Those names. If it happens,
yeah,
you heard it right here on 93.7 The Ticket on the block.
Yeah.
You know, we love you, Mickey.
Yeah.
What
I'm
you guys
singled
do,
out.
we
I'm
are.
singled out real big by Stricky.
Hey, I'm just glad that you're here and not Rico.
Thank you.
Let me
Thank
see
you,
that.
Stricky.
Let me see that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I look at
Stricky.
that handsome
Thank you.
face.
Thank you,
As
Stricky.
opposed to that hair that guy got.
Shout out to Burke's Barbershop for the hairdo. Get your haircuts today. Anyway, so
School's near. Can you believe that? Couple
School's-
weeks.
So
freaking
Austin,
crazy,
you
bro.
know this more recently than Strick. I'm navigating this first time around of not having to get ready for classes.
It's
Man,
weird.
Man,
It's weird.
people are talking about, man, school's starting up in less than a month already, and I'm like, no, it's not. Like this is weird.
Yeah.
I still think of myself as a college student sometimes.
Yeah.
And I haven't taken classes in 3 years now, 3.5 years. Like I still feel I'm just out of college.
Like so what's really gonna feel weird is I was always used to, I mean, I told people sometimes my schedule, but I would come here, work a little bit, then I'd go to press conferences or practice, and then I would go to class. It's gonna feel weird driving downtown, going to the pressers and going to class or going to practice, and then seeing everybody else walking to class and everything.
Give us free.
And then me just I'm out of here.
Free.
That's what's going to be so weird.
Yeah.
Is seeing everybody else going somewhere, going to class with the backpacks, walking, all that stuff. And I'm just like, I don't have to do this.
Well, I have a different side of that weird story. My first different side of the weird story was my first year on campus. I literally had to do everything, which I didn't have to do after that. Because it was like, go down to the academic office, sit down,
Bingo.
figure it out. Boom. They kind of work you through it, the books, and just go down and pick them up. And you're done, right? That's how it is in the athletic program. My first year, because you remember, I was not a scholarship athlete.
Yeah.
So my first year, I had to go through all the admissions processes. I had to go in the books. I had to go through all of the stuff that you normally wouldn't have to do as a student athlete.
I'm excited to not have that couple $100 charge on books. No parking meters, no parking tickets.
Woo!
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be.
Did your
exciting
car ever
time.
get towed?
Never got towed. Got parking
did so
tickets
many
plenty of times though.
God,
UNL parking.
It's worse now.
UNL parking's on a whole nother level. City parking's great.
They have no souls.
UNL parking is on a whole
Not
nother
one.
level.
No souls.
Yeah, see,
They're just-
they have no
if
soul.
Austin's saying that, it's true.
And that's 3 years ago.
Yeah. So it's gotten worse.
What's up? What y'all been talking about?
Conference realignment. So this is what we were talking about. Is that how wild that Big Ten's kind of sat back, said, "All right, we're not gonna be the predator right now. We'll be
That came from the good guy,
right? Yeah,
We're the good guy.
Yeah,
we're
right.
We're poaching stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
we're poaching.
Until one straw breaks the camel's back. Now the SEC, the conference where it just means more, has been relatively quiet. Like almost as if, and Austin said it last segment, but almost as if from in the public eye, they're content with just Texas and Oklahoma in 2024. They want to value those two schools and they want to give it its due and say, you know what? Hey, these are our two teams. SEC is good with how we are right now, and we'll worry about the future when it comes. Where now the Big Ten, the Apple deal offer to the Pac-12 is about to expire tomorrow. Okay, Brett McMurphy just reported that. Oregon and Washington are obviously rumored and expected to join the Big Ten. Washington has a meeting, a booster, or what am I trying
Regents
to
meeting
tonight at 9 p.m. Mountain Time.
Pacific
time.
11 o'clock Central. Stay up. Set your
11
alarms.
Yes, exactly. This is something that could be coming in the next 24 hours.
That's crazy. That's crazy how fast that went down the pipe. But here's the thing. When I said those teams, there's some that gave me some different pushback with regards to the academic side of things. Obviously, you have to maintain a certain academic level
somewhat,
on
yeah.
scale. That's why some mentioned Georgia Tech in some instances. Some even forgot about Wake Forest sitting out there.
Yep.
They're a very good academic school as well. And then you have Cal, and you also have Stanford. Yeah. But I said it just makes sense if you're going to go for the gusto, you just take the whole country, because then you go from the freaking Northwest all the way down to the south point of the East, up to the north, up in Jersey. You are touching dang near all four corners of the United States. Your recruiting base goes up.
Your headquarters in Chicago, so you got a standpoint in the middle.
Your power goes up now. And then the media is looking at it, Nick and Austin. The media that just signed that deal for billions of dollars.
Yeah.
They're like, we just got to steal.
Bingo.
So everybody is happy.
Well, and here's the thing is, and we started the entire show with this. Oregon and Washington and any new team that joins now, they're going to get a smaller piece of the pie, but they need to be okay with that.
Right.
It's more pie than they were getting before.
Exactly. Or
That part.
that they were ever going to get with the Pac-12.
That part.
And part of it also, you have to really
get out escape as well, without having to,
without any money.
Come on,
without the
come on, Nick,
ACC
talk it.
$250 million fee. You also have to give some credit to the Big Ten Conference, because they have had their wheels in motion for over a year. Although they only added USC and UCLA last summer, they were in conversations with Oregon and Washington last summer. I already told Austin this, but Strick, they have basically put the cart before the horse, but in a positive way.
No doubt.
And what I mean by that is that they vetted and cleared both Oregon and Washington last summer.
Way before. Yeah.
So that way, tomorrow or on Monday, when the Avalanche does fall and everybody's like freaking out, the Big 12's freaking out because Arizona State, Utah, they all want to join. The Big 10's saying, all right, good. We're all set. We're all set to have Oregon and Washington join our conference. We're good because we worried about all those minor details that just take time. We worried about that in the summer of 2022. It's a real impressive as you start to see everything unfold. And these are things that they may have predicted or projected last summer, but I personally just was too stupid to think about.
Oregon, Washington accept the Big Ten invitation, hypothetically. They in 24, 25.
I would say 25. I think scheduling at this point is too late. I think it happens 25. I think they don't want to hurt what's going on in the Pac-12. I think that it allows that whole process of the scheduling situation, and it allows them, I think, to figure out, do they want to stay with divisions or how they want to move. Now you've got an even number of teams. You're going to probably go stay divisions if you do that. 10,
Okay.
10, right?
That's,
you go 10,
that's so tough.
Let's say it's 25. Do the Pac-12 schools just get their games televised on a per game basis? Like, do we go back to like pay-per-view
Well, and
and
that's
they get like a per game contract?
That's exactly what I was going to say. You have
Good.
to, if I and this is where it's going to be interesting, because if Arizona and ASU decide to join the Big 12 and Oregon and Washington
it
decide
makes
to
sense for
join the
them to
Big,
do it.
Big
Mhm.
10, you're now the Pac-5, right?
I think it's 6.
Cal, Stanford, Oregon State, Washington State, Utah.
Pac-5.
Well, unless Utah goes with Arizona State to the Big 12.
But either way, at least Utah for this time being isn't as rumored
Yeah.
as those two schools in Arizona.
So then you've
So
got to
you're the-
schedule like Notre Dame. You got
Well,
to
and
do a
that's the
crazy
thing. But once again, is you have to, if you're the Big 10, you have to get on the horn with the Big 12 and say, when are we adding these schools?
Mhm.
Because you don't want the Big 12 to add those two in 2024, because they've done the same thing as you with scheduling and things like that and format. You don't want them to be ahead of you.
Mhm.
And the Big 10 is going to say, all right, are you allowing them in 2024? Because if so, we're allowing them in 2024. We might rush it a little bit, but we're going to figure it out, because we don't want to feel like, we don't want that conversation of being, oh, well, Arizona and Arizona State are joining the Big 12 in next season, but Oregon and Washington are not.
So then what happens is, I think then those a few of those games, or a good portion of those games, remain non-con. And maybe you keep them from the first year competing in a conference championship.
Yeah.
And you
Sure.
just let those be non-con, evaluation style type
Mhm.
games possibly. I don't know how it's going to work, but
And
you're
that's-
right.
and this is the exact rabbit hole that we all have experienced over the last 48 hours,
Yeah.
because you can go down so many avenues And then it's like, I mean, you guys know this. It sparks the thought of, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
that's what they were doing last summer. Was
Mhm.
they were getting ready for this moment. So that way, when that I keep using avalanche because I feel like that's the best term. Because when a couple teams leave, then it's like the Pac-12's completely open for business. The ACC, it's like, well, why even have an ACC at that point? And we're going to go through the same rigmarole with the ACC that we're doing with the Pac-12, where it's
'Cause it's
going
gonna happen.
Exactly, where it's going to be the North Carolina State and Duke, who's going to take those two teams first, and then it's going to be all right, who takes Clemson or who takes Florida State, because Florida State's been more vocal than Clemson, and it's going to be like, all right, now
What does Miami do?
Now the saga is, when does Clemson leave and who do they go to, right?
Mhm.
So you're just going to go through the same thing. That I just think that the Big Ten has done a really good job, and probably the SEC as well, because they're just being more quiet about it, which the Big Ten's not been necessarily loud, but the SEC is probably just a little more quiet and going, all right, here we are.
Who's left out in the ACC, and who is the Stanford, Cal, Arizona State of the ACC if it came down to it?
Boston College is screwed.
Ooh, screwed.
Small school, kind of out of the way geographically.
Well,
Syracuse,
hold on.
similar
Big East, maybe?
basketball
Big East?
school.
Well, hold on. Is the Boston College screwed geographically with the Big Ten?
No, but do they want to go that high though?
Boston's big enough as in terms of a city, but Boston College doesn't have the sway. So Boston College is out, Syracuse is out, Wake Forest is fourth in that little box in North Carolina. Virginia Tech needed to have more success the last few years. I'm a little worried about them because Virginia has a huge endowment, huge public school, big academics.
Yep.
Georgia Tech's a Big Ten fit
Well,
academically. It's Atlanta.
And frankly, Virginia Tech doesn't have Frank Beamer at coach anymore.
Right.
They don't have Frank Beamer. Now, what I will say about Syracuse is, at that point, do you start looking at other sports? Because Syracuse has been okay at football, but do you take them for their basketball? Do you involve them as understand their place, where it's all right? Yeah, listen, they're going to be a Purdue. They're going to be, frankly, in Nebraska. They're going to be in Indiana.
Can they be Rutgers?
That's my thing. Is can they be do they take them for a basketball team or do you let the Big East have Syracuse?
But if you're Syracuse and you're falling behind in football, is it worth running that team out there, or do you go be a basketball only member in like the Big East?
Well, and that's what we were kind of talking about yesterday. Is like at some point for some of these programs, why keep football?
Yeah.
Why still support football and not put all your eggs into one basket?
I got something for you.
Okay.
And I don't mind us because this is okay for us going into
cool.
on the block.
I got nothing going on.
Listen, we're good because this is deep.
Sweet.
Let me throw this at you. Is everything going on with Northwestern cause them possibly to get the boot?
No.
Okay. Just want to throw it out there.
Well, we haven't even brought that question up because I didn't know how realistic it was that teams could get kicked. Right? Because also, Nebraska in that case is very lucky that they have the fan support and that they still have money. Because that's being as real as I can. Because the Big Ten has never through their first 11 years, or I guess now 13, has never really viewed Nebraska as a true Big Ten school.
Nebraska hasn't viewed itself as a Big Ten school.
Exactly. And they haven't won enough in their major sports to say, hey, yeah, we might not be a true Big Ten school, but at least we're winning for you. They haven't.
If I can jump in real quick too and just say, I think a lot of the reason that we haven't seen or heard schools getting kicked out is because that knife cuts both ways, right? Clemson, Florida State want to jump out of the ACC. The league said, no, you can't. We agreed to that with you. If a school was on the verge of getting kicked out by a conference, it would say, we agreed to this. We signed this contract. You kicking us out is a breach of contract. So we'll have to come to that agreement and get a huge payout, probably 4 or 5 years worth of payouts.
Yeah,
that's good.
For the school to agree to leave the conference voluntarily.
Let me throw. Go ahead.
No,
finish your thought.
Well, I'm just thinking because if we go down that road of where schools are getting booted, it is going to be messy and it is going to be truly the wild, wild west because
truly political.
The programs like in Illinois, the programs like an Indiana,
Rutgers,
In the SEC, Vanderbilt's academically strong, so
which is why the SEC wants them out.
Yeah, but so Vanderbilt. I mean, you could even go Missouri at that point.
Ooh,
A&M.
Those schools that are not doing well, they're saying, well, how much value are you bringing to us over a team that's competed for national championships over the last couple of years? Like the SEC, if they could with penalty, they would in a heartbeat trade out Clemson for any of the schools not named Alabama, Texas, or I should say Alabama, Georgia,
LSU.
So you do a swap potentially.
But that's where I'm saying
that's the Wild West.
They're so that would get real
crazy.
messy.
That'd be crazy.
And frankly, I would be scared being in
if
Nebraska.
you're Ole Miss.
No, I'd be terrified of Nebraska.
Yeah,
I'd be terrified because you have seeked safety and stability in the Big Ten Conference. I feel like we're like in a Wild West movie right now. Like you seek stability here in this house.
We're the Office scene.
Yeah, where it's just like, where they're all, Spider-Man, also Spider-Man.
I'm not going down for this.
Exactly. But like, it's just, it'd be terrifying because then if you are one of those schools that you get told, hey, sorry, you're out, what do you do?
Yeah.
You just got told that you're not good enough.
Right.
And so if you get booted out of the SEC, the Big Ten sure as hell's not going to take you and vice versa. So then you're going to go to the Big 12 and probably not feel like a good fit. And you're going to feel like, do they really want us or do we really want them? It's going to be awkward. And then it's going to be, what do you do at this point?
For both of you, with everything happening, once this snowball begins to fall, Pac-10 dies, next eyes turn east. What happens with Notre Dame?
Do you want this first or I? Because I have feelings.
You go for it.
They have to join a conference. They have to. They have to. From a money standpoint, this is what's all it's turning into right now. From a money standpoint, from a financial view, there is no reason that they would see enough benefits in my eyes to stay as an independent. And I think scheduling would be really tough. If they want to compete on a national stage, but you have the 3 power conferences around you going to a conference-only schedule, who are you going to schedule to where Notre Dame gets a strong enough resume to compete in the playoff? There's no way. Because we're going to sit there at the end for the College Football Playoff show and say, all right, Ohio State played USC, played Michigan, played USC. I already said USC, but you get the gist of it. And then we're going to say
Michigan State.
Yeah, you're going to say, all right, Notre Dame, you played Connecticut. You played
Boston College.
You played Boston College. You played Duke.
Tulane.
No teams within the top 25.
North Dakota State.
No teams within the top 25. And there's just not. You're going to say the strength of schedule conversation is going to arise, and you're going to say there's no way that we can bring Notre Dame in this, even if they are one of the better teams.
Let me say I think Nick's right. I agree with I think that's most likely, but I also think that's most disappointing. DP has come on these airwaves many times and says everyone has a price. There's a price for Notre Dame. There's a dollar amount that gets them in a conference. I mentioned it a little bit on Happy Hour yesterday. We got into it at the end of our 3:30 segment yesterday on the block, so go check that out on the podcast. I hope Notre Dame doesn't. I hope Notre Dame, as much flack as I give them, as much as I've made fun of them in the past for holding out on joining a conference, for putting themselves on a pedestal above everyone else, for being independent, for relying so much on that. I'm kind of hoping Notre Dame pulls through this and is kind of the bellwether of sanity in college athletics, because Notre Dame is still competing at a high level. I get it. They haven't won a national championship in football in a long time, but they're still competing. They've still been in the playoff. They still attract talent from across the country. But they say they have enough, right? They're not chasing the dollars. It would have been so easy to do, to take that quick payday, to increase that revenue. Notre Dame has said, we have enough to compete. Basketball has been good. Women's basketball has been good. Baseball has been interesting and fun, but it all comes back to football. We know that. I pray to some degree that conference commissioners, presidents, chancellors are at least paying attention to the message Notre Dame is sending by not joining a conference. I didn't throw TV execs in there because they don't care. Their job is to make money. However we can drive the price up, they're going to try to do it. They're going to stay after Notre Dame. That's their prerogative. That's their right. But I hope we have more and more institutions and people at them like Notre Dame that say enough's enough. There is enough money for all of us already. We don't have to make our lives harder. We don't have to cause more headaches we can make this about the student athletes. We can value other sports outside of football as well, even though they don't bring in football money, because that's better holistically.
So what I would say about Notre Dame, so they're sitting here at $33 million per year, 22 from their TV contract, 11 for being an unofficial member of the ACC, where they're a member of the ACC in some sports, not in the other. The Big Ten, once again, is getting to a point where they're going to be at $70 million a year per team.
No question.
Right. We just got done last segment, Austin, talking about how and why they agreed and they wanted to work with a short-term deal, 7 years, rather than going through 2036, which great. That stability is great, but college football is always going to be changing. And you don't want to be like the ACC is right now, where there's a $250 million buyout to get out of there. So with that in mind, in 5 years, or when the preliminary negotiations begin for the Big Ten and the TV companies and execs, they're going to come with a figure close to probably $100 million a year at that point with the new teams. And it's hard to say no to $67 more million.
That's a fact.
Per year.
You'd be dumb to say no to it.
Stupid to say no. You're doubling your amount in just one area, one facet. For number one, getting more national respect to your name instantly, getting more stability with your athletic department. And frankly, even if they're a member of a conference, we're always going to remember them as the Notre Dame team that was independent and that was always on NBC every day, every Saturday at 2:30, and that Mike Tirico was calling. Like, we're always going to think of Notre Dame as they are now, even if they join a conference. And instead, they're just going to get $67 more million roughly per year than they are right now.
I looked at it from another standpoint for the Big Ten as to why this is happening the way that it's happening. Outside of the recruiting, the touch, as well as the TV markets, I looked at it from a standpoint of Big Ten saying, we're tired of the last 15 years of hearing about SEC dominance.
Exactly.
We're going to surround them. It's like doing a siege. We're trying to do a siege on them, keep them in that region that they have no escape to get out of in any form or fashion. And we're just going to come hounding once this playoff starts kicking in. We're giving you everything from a Big Ten perspective. That's the way I look.
Well, and that's here's the deal. Here's the deal, guys. We talked about the SEC and kind of how they're doing. From top to bottom, I believe that the Big Ten has better teams.
Yes.
From top to bottom. Top heavy, SEC is in favor, right?
Yes.
So it depends how you look at this. I think as the Big Ten moves to as college football moves to a larger playoff, I think the Big Ten's actually in better shape. And the reason I think so is because they're going to offer they're going to be able to offer more of their schools more money, because you're going to get those playoff bonuses. You're going to get those, hey, if you make it to the playoff, you get this bonus, right? And that's obviously per school, per coach, things like that. But in the SEC, you have obviously the three with a 16-team playoff or a 12-team playoff. You're going to think a lot of times it's going to be Alabama, LSU, Georgia. Those three are going to get in
and maybe
some
LSU
regard.
and Tennessee.
Tennessee's on the brink, right? Well, if in the Big Ten conference, if they move to those three teams, or excuse me, the three power conferences rather, you have 6 remaining spots after you have the 1 spot for the ACC, and that's Clemson. You have 6 spots there where it's all right. Ohio State, Michigan are in, obviously. USC's in. Oregon potentially is in. You're talking about there could be 5 or 6 Big Ten teams where there's a lot more money flowing for that Big Ten conference school than in the SEC. I don't know if that can be that might sound a little confusing until we see it play out. But I feel like there's great opportunities for the Big Ten.
I think that expansion of the ability, and that's the last I'm going to say, the expansion of a young man. If I'm a young man coming in and being a former athlete, I'm looking at it from a standpoint of I get to go to Cali.
Yeah.
I might get to go to Florida State and play. Dang, I could go up to New York. I'm looking at all of the places across this nation that I'm going to get to play, as well as to be seen on TV. So go ahead.
I just think so too.
Work through this with me. Put our heads together. For a 12-team playoff first, Bama, Georgia, LSU.
Yep.
SEC 4th. Probably in a 12 team, or just those 3 for sure.
I think let's just go with those 3 to start.
Okay. Ohio State, Michigan, USC.
Yep. There's 6.
Halfway there. Clemson.
Yep.
Out of the ACC as it currently exists.
Because you expect them to be a top 12 team in the country.
You do. Your Big 12 winner
Yep.
is in, whoever that is.
Yeah.
That leaves us with 8 of the 12 right there.
Yeah.
Group of 5's not getting in.
No.
I'm sorry. The group of 5 isn't getting in. I get it. They have their guaranteed spot right now. But
And that's
in
the
5
point.
years,
Bingo.
there's no group of 5. So
Wait.
you're left with 4 spots
Yes.
from 3 conferences. My guess is you get a 4th SEC in there,
You get a 4th
a
Big
4th
Ten.
Big 10. You're down to 2 spots. Do you get another ACC team? Do you get another Big 12 team? Or do you get 5 each from the Big 10 in the SEC,
Yeah.
the Big 12 winner and the ACC winner? Is that where we're going with 12?
It's very possible.
But see, who's that 5th team in the SEC?
That's why it's
Florida
why it's
going-
interesting to
Not
watch.
yet.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
Definitely not Georgia Tech. Not
Would,
Ole
would it
Miss,
be like
not
an Ole
Michigan,
Miss or a Mississippi State back when they did in like 2015?
Possible. Or Arkansas, maybe.
but then see, guys,
Oklahoma, Texas.
It's a lot of maybe.
Here's where you're getting at it. You're putting a lot of teams.
That's the exact point.
Man,
Mhm.
guys, that's
the problem.
This
We
is
got a break.
unbelievable.
I mean, it's
we got it.
unfortunate.
Dang
We got
it.
a break, bro. But it's crazy. We could go.
Yeah,
on
because you haven't
forever.
even started. You haven't even started your show, guys. We got about a minute left here in this one. That is some deep stuff because
good thing we're on stream.
Good thing we're on stream.
It is
That's
a
what
great
I'm
thing
saying.
that we're on stream. Man,
We could have went forever. I mean, like, we literally could have not, but we've got to pay bills. Unfortunately.
dang,
Or,
that is
well, fortunately. let me say.
that is. My head is spinning
Spinning like
because we're just.
You want to
thinking
keep it
so much.
spinning for a segment with us?
You're welcome.
Yeah, let's do it.
You're welcome.
I got nothing better to do with my
You're
life.
welcome.
I'll trade you spots.
Yeah, you don't got class.
I don't got class anymore. We graduate. Ma! Woo! We made it. All right, well, stick around. It's going to be us 3 talking about everything we talk about here on the block. Shout out to Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul.
Shout out Stricky for bringing Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. My man.
Stricky came in clutch. Charles and his team came in clutch. They always do. Thanks to our sponsor, though, on the happy hour, Empire Fence and Netting. Make sure you visit them over in Waverly. And that'll do it for us on the happy hour, an hour and a half edition of the happy hour. But we're going to keep things rolling on the block. Stick with us on the ticket. Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like getting new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best we can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. We're on the brink of spring cleanups for all of our existing customers and have limited spots left. We trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give us a call today at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of our designers and get ready for Tailored Life's grand opening in Bennett.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? Worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right with a menu that includes wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish, and don't sleep on their sides. Shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food